Hi, thanks for joining us on Shining Stars in South Florida Business. I'm Danny Poulos, your host, and our special guest today is Jay Wolfe from Wolfe Guitars in Jupiter. If you're a local musician, you probably know Jay already, and if you're not, you're going to learn a lot of new things about the shop and the products there, and it's a whole lot of exciting things. So tell us how it all started, Jay.
Well, it really was a hobby that turned into a business. I was in another business. I was in the marine business. But I always bought and sold guitars. And I love to buy old guitars, recondition them, refurbish them, either keep them, which I kept plenty of them, but I sold some too. So at some point, I just decided I'll do this for a living because the marine business was going down.
Right.
And a friend of mine said, "Hey, I'm going to a guitar show." I said, "What is that?" And he said, "Well, it's like an antique show or a gun show, but it's guitars." I said, he said, "Well, come with me, help me drive. It's in Dallas." I went, "That's all the way across the country."
Right.
And I went to the show, and he said, "Bring some guitars." So I brought 10 guitars. It's a 3-day event. The first day, by noon, I sold all 10 guitars.
Really?
So I'm running around Dallas Guitar Show with pockets full of cash. Everything is cash with those things. And it was wonderful. But what happened was the internet didn't exist at that time.
Right.
But once the internet came into being and people learned they could sell grandpa's old guitar online and not have to wait for the guitar show.
Right.
I was still doing guitar shows, but the sales were way off.
Right.
So that's when I opened the shop here, and I just quit doing the show.
So really, when you opened, it sounds like the whole idea was dealing in guitar. I mean, you come a long way from just dealing in guitars.
It was capitalism in its purest form. You're sitting there at a guitar show,
Right.
and a guy walks up and says, "Will you buy my guitar? How much do you want for it?" "Okay, here's the cash." It was all cash.
Right.
And he'd give you the guitar, and you say, "Okay, I paid $400 for that." So you take a piece of paper and you write $600. You put it up there on a little stand. A guy walks by and says, "Well, you take $500. Okay. So he hands you $500. And another guy comes up and says, "Will you buy my guitar?" And it was like that all day long.
Right.
And it was like amazing. I said, "Well, I could make this a business. It's been my hobby."
And I guess it's sort of like the same thing done on the internet, just faster and more access to inventory. You can find what you're looking for.
Right. Yeah. Well, the internet just exploded the possibilities.
You carry a special lines of guitars. I want you to explain to everybody why you carry what you do and why you don't carry what you don't.
Well, what we don't carry, which surprises a lot of people, are what I call Ford and GM.
Right.
Gibson, Fender in the electric side, and Martin and Taylor in the acoustic side. Now, we can have these lines because we're the largest volume guitar seller in the state of Florida. So all of these lines are available to us. But I never enjoyed dealing with what I call assembly line mass producers. And that's what these companies have become. Like, for instance, Taylor advertises that they build 600 guitars a day. Gibson, the same. Fender says 1,200. Martin says 400. And our customers constantly tell us these guitars are not what they used to be. Like if you want to buy one of these big name brands, you have to play 100 of them to find a good one.
Really?
So what we do is we deal with the small shops. Heritage Guitars in Kalamazoo, Michigan, a very small shop, 7 or 8 guys, old fellas, sitting around making guitars by hand. When you go into Heritage's shop, which is 225 Parsons Street, the significance of that address is that was Gibson's address for 85 years.
No kidding.
So they're in the original old Gibson custom shop building at 225 Parsons Street. This is their 31st year. And they're making guitars the way they were made in the 40s and 50s by hand, by a very highly skilled individual that's never done anything but that their whole entire lives. And then we deal with G&L, which is a little bit larger, but not much. That was Leo Fender's last company, G&L, before he passed away. In fact,
so that's for electric.
That's for electrics, yeah. And then we deal with Breedlove in Bend, Oregon, who make wonderful acoustic guitars. Again, a smaller shop, privately owned. They're One of the unique things about Breedlove is they won't use clear-cut lumber. The tree has to be laying on the ground or they won't buy it. They're very, very deeply concerned about responsible forestation and harvesting of tone woods. Because, there's wood for building houses or a desk, but then there's wood for making a guitar.
Sure.
And those woods are more exotic and they've been over-harvested. So Tom Bedell, who owns Breedlove, is the world's leader in responsible forestation. But he won't make guitars if he has to go chop down a tree.
So think about that when you're buying a guitar. No trees are being chopped down to make that guitar. And listen, I don't know of anyone that has a Breedlove guitar that doesn't absolutely love it.
Yeah, I just got a new
Try
one.
it and you'll like it.
And we also sell carbon fiber guitars, which is very good for the forest, but there are petroleum products involved. So, there's a little trade-off there. But the thing about the carbon fiber guitars, which are made in Mississippi, it's called composite acoustics, is they are really, really good here in South Florida where you have high humidity.
Sure.
These guys that play tiki bar gigs out in the weather all summer long, their guitars are in our repair shop all the time, re-gluing the braces, the bridges, the frets are all messed up. These carbon fiber guitars, you could throw it in the swimming pool or the ocean, it's not going to hurt it.
And I don't want to run out of time before we let everybody know you're also one of the largest repair shops.
Yes, and we've just expanded that. We have a Plek machine, P-L-E-K, which is a German CNC machine just for fretwork. And we have the only Plek machine this side of Nashville, the only one in the southeastern U.S.
You've done 2 of my guitars in that machine.
Oh, really?
Absolutely.
Well, that's a $100,000 piece of hardware right there. But it's
night and day, before and after, once it's on that piece of equipment.
Oh, yeah. It makes a huge difference.
Tell everybody. Well, also, you've got guests that come in a lot and play. Give us an idea of some of the people that have been in or who are coming in.
Well, in a few weeks, we have Robin Ford, who I like to call him the guitar player's guitar player. Comes here every year. He does a 2-hour clinic or a lecture, and then we hire a rhythm section, and he performs for about an hour and a half. We get Pat Martino, who's like the greatest jazz musician on earth. He comes in every spring and does a clinic for the guys that are, above, upper echelon of jazz players.
Tell people how they can keep an eye on what you have going on, how to reach you, because really it's an ongoing process in there with people coming in and education stuff. So how do they reach Jay Wolfe and your Wolfe Guitars?
We have a website, wolfeguitars.com, but most of these events and daily updates are on Facebook, our Wolfe Guitars Facebook page. And, of course, we're on Instagram, you name it. We're there.
Excellent. They're not hard to find. Wolfe Guitars in Jupiter, Florida. And Jay is certainly a shining star in the South Florida business. Thanks for coming on today, Jay. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Danny. Thank you so much.